Hey folks, Pastor Jim Thomas from the Village Chapel here in Nashville, Tennessee with your daily devotional. I'm going to read today from Tim and Kathy Keller's daily reader based on the book of Proverbs. It's called God's Wisdom for Navigating Life. And they're very insightful and wise couple themselves, and to hear them just reflect a little bit on these ancient proverbs is just really inspiring. They're going to talk here a little bit about discernment in this particular reading. And right from the get-go, the book of Proverbs talks about that the intended purpose of the book of Proverbs is that we might actually gain wisdom and instruction, that we might begin to understand words of insight. And so they quote that Proverbs 1, verse 2, right at the top of the reading, and then they begin talking about discernment. And they say it's another aspect of wisdom. It's insight. It means the ability to notice distinctions and shades of difference where others see only a blur. And together they sort of talk about each other. Kathy can see small but significant differences between the performances of ballet dancers that Tim cannot perceive. And Tim can notice fine differences in the quality of a curveball that are lost on her. We are, as it were, wiser than each other in the fields of dance and sport. Biblical wisdom, however, brings discernment to the skill of the daily living of life itself. And there's so many categories in which that does apply, where it's actually needed. I mean, just trying to communicate with the people you live with can sometimes be chaotic and crazy, right? You say A, B, C, the other person hears D, E, F, and or they say X, Y, Z, and you hear M, N, L or something, And so it can really be, we're really missing each other if we don't make room for wisdom to find its home in our hearts and in our minds, and to be discerning in the way we hear things and the way that we look at the world as well. To be wise is to recognize multiple options and possible courses of action where others can imagine only one or two. Wisdom discerns multiple dimensions to people's motives and character, rather than putting everyone into the binary categories of good people and bad people. And I know that we all do that from time to time. We all get cranky at some point in time. I'm one of those guys that I've got to graze my way through the day because my blood sugar gets a little low, and I'll find myself getting grumpy. And when I'm grumpy like that, sometimes I'm interpreting what someone might say to me, and I'm interpreting it with less than gracious thoughts, And so it's important for me, if I want to be wise, it's important for me to understand that about myself, to know myself well enough, and also at the same time to keep, an oat bar or something handy and graze a little bit so that I don't get grumpy like that. Wisdom discerns multiple dimensions to people's motives and character, rather than putting them all in you're just good or bad. And it's, so often the case that we make those determinations based on how they respond to us or what we thought they said when they really didn't say that or didn't mean that at all, or it just went south for some reason, and we just weren't thinking, and we weren't listening with the ears of discernment. So I love this. They're really good at pointing this out. Discernment is also the ability to tell the difference, not just between right and wrong, but also among good, better, and best. And that's true too. Sometimes those three categories, good, better, and best, sometimes they can work at odds with one another. And I think it's good to be able to see the variations along the way in all categories of life. Christians find that as Christ's love in our hearts grows, so does depth of insight, Philippians 1:9. His love heals the self-absorbed ego and enables us to notice and be sensitive to others around us. I need that. I know I do. I think we probably all do. But that doesn't minimize the fact that I need that, and I need to be aware of that myself. That his love healing me from my self-absorbed ego. And what is ego? We've said it before, it stands for edging God out. Ego gets in the way. Ego is pride. Ego is self-centeredness. Ego gets bruised very easily. Pride does. And it's at the root of the way I respond to a lot of people. And perhaps it is you. It's also in the whole self-assertion sort of idea where people are sort of filled with this, these voices that are telling them they need to really, step forward and assert yourself and all that sort of thing in the world. Where Jesus, man, I'm glad Jesus didn't do that. I'm glad Jesus came to the earth, laid down his life, didn't come to be served. He came to serve. And I need to be more like him in that regard and less driven by ego and less driven by pride. His love, Jesus' love, heals the self-absorbed ego and enables us to notice and be sensitive to others around us. Where has God been enabling you to see fine distinctions that you didn't see before? And it's so easy, isn't it, to have been, even in the last few minutes of what I've been saying, to be thinking about somebody else. It's so easy for me to be thinking about somebody who I think of as an egomaniac or a narcissist, whatever. It's so easy to do that and not to be asking myself these questions. And so I appreciate the Kellers. They're helpful in this regard to ask these kind of questions. Where has God been enabling you to see fine distinctions that you didn't see before? And I pray that he'll do that for me. And I pray that he'll do that for you, and that we'll all of us, learn to walk in the ways of God's wisdom, navigating our daily life. Well, they close with a prayer, and we'll make it our prayer as we get this day rolling as well. Pray along with me. Lord, our world seems divided between the people who see everything as black or white and those who see everything as gray. Deliver me from both legalism and relativism. Neither is wise. Give me the humility and discernment that is necessary for having a wise heart. Amen? Amen. All right, catch you later.
Daily Devotions with Pastor Jim Thomas is a resource of the Village Chapel in Nashville, Tennessee. If you find this daily devotional beneficial, leave a review and share it with friends and family. For more resources or to support our ministry, visit our website, thevillagechapel.com. Artwork for this podcast by Kim Thomas. Music by Phil Kagi.